queria, merece quando o mar levou, queria levou, quando o mar levou.
Hey, what's up, and welcome to my corner of the internet. So I think on this channel, I often talk about two extremes between the anime community. I talk about some of the best and some of the worst, and very often, I think I forget about a lot of anime that I just enjoyed and I enjoyed the ride of, because I used to watch season per season, even though I'm getting back into it and I'm starting to regain a lot more of my love for watching anime casually instead of just reading manga and going to anime whenever I want to see a scene animated. At this point, I venture a little bit more and I'm trying to find some hidden gems of anime, and I'm also just trying to find anime that I'm entertained and I enjoy and are just good, like have great stories, they accomplish their goals and I feel satisfied and I have a good time, and they usually last about 50 to 60 episodes and I feel satisfied with that. And it's not like these animes were unremarkable, by no means. A lot of them really hit. They had a lot of great and enjoyable moments. It's just I probably was watching something else, and when I watched it I was just a little bit more casual and I probably didn't remember every single thing. But now that I'm going through memory lane, I feel like it's time to appreciate Beelzebub. So imagine you just randomly getting a baby and now you have to raise it. That sounds crazy, son. Like, I'm 24 right now. Imagine having a child right now. Like, just living in the world we live in. Just imagine. That's crazy as hell. That's wow. Couldn't be me. Never. But back to the story. Written by Ryohei Tamura, and it was released in 2009. It was about 50 to 60 episodes. Beelzebub is a good anime. It's just a good anime. There's nothing really special about it. You can find tons of, I guess, carbon copies of it, or at least different anime that were similar in premise and have their own style of battle manga. But Beelzebub makes up for that with its solid writing, its interesting gimmicks, and also that each episode was satisfying, and I also like the zaniness of its show. And what I mean by zaniness is there was a time in anime where the more ridiculous and fun and like shonen-esque with like fights, the cooler it was. And if you watch Bobo, I don't know how to say that, or even what's the other one? Hold on. Rave Master. Oh my god, I forgot about Rave Master. But if you're old enough to remember some of these animes, they had a very zany, very weird, but somewhat cool and really interesting fight styles. And they were just so random and stupid at times, but they were so enjoyable. And you can see how some of these things were really made to be enjoyed. They were nothing more than silly fun, and I got some of that from Toriko also, because there was a lot of zaniness mixed in with the seriousness of a shonen with a lot of seinen within it. But regardless, Beelzebub is about a delinquent that ends up getting a baby, and this baby is Beelzebub, and this baby literally is the Demon King's son, and Oga has to raise it. He has a nice wife that's basically a maid for the Demon King's son, and the adventures begin right there. The great thing about this story is it does a lot of great talking about fatherhood, about respect, about fighting, about Oga being a delinquent but really not really being a delinquent. He just has a scary face and fights a lot. He just gets a bad rap. Other than that, he wants to be the strongest. He wants to be a good father for Belle, which comes along because he has solid morals and standards, and that's why Baby Belle chose him.
貴様はこの人間界でたった一人の父親だ。
This show has a lot of personality, and I think that's what is really endearing about this show. In 50 to 60 episodes, you're going to enjoy a lot of the laughs, you're going to enjoy the fight scenes, and you're also going to enjoy what this story has to offer, because it has a lot of like ideas that it's just like, oh, that's where it went, oh, that's what they're gonna add, oh, that's who came into the story. And the gimmick of Baby Bell just being a baby and then him having to fight all these other Demon King sons to be the main future Demon King is kind of interesting. And also it's funny because it's like a handicap, but it's not really a handicap. You know how the shonen Deus Ex Machinas, or say for instance, shonens have this ability to surprise. And that's what Beelzebub does. It is able to surprise you.
なんだ何が起こっている
Along with the surprises, I enjoyed an anime that had a consistent theme of randomness. Yeah, this anime is pretty random. I'm not even gonna lie to you. A lot of things come out of nowhere and they're fun and they add to the story and they don't seem out of place. I love a lot of the fight scenes. I love the power levels and systems. I also enjoy some of the turmoil that happens to our main characters and a lot of moments where we have to learn and grow together, and it just gave me a warm feeling inside. Like a lot of anime right now for me that I'm seeking to watch has to give me some sort of feeling that I'm left with that makes me happy that I spent 30 minutes or maybe hours just watching this back to back to back. And I feel like this is one of those animes that does that. And also, this totally aged pretty well. I think if you upgraded some of the graphics and played around with some of the writing, add a little bit more of a whatever, you could pretty much release this now, and I think it'd do pretty well within a good season. Beelzebub may be a relic of the past, but it is an enjoyable ride that I feel like I should definitely recommend to you. And it's honestly a good anime just to have and watch at least one episode a week or one episode a day, and you go from there. You enjoy whatever comes with it, and you also enjoy going back and appreciating anime that survived when the big three was around. Like, I think that's going to be definitely an era of animes that I want to talk about more. A lot of animes that thrived and survived during the era of the big three, because the big three were so big that I feel like a lot of animes didn't get a fair chance. And you had to be really deep in anime to pay attention to what else was out there back then. And then, say for instance, you weren't into the big three. There was 3 other animes beneath those big 3 that totally sucked up the rest of the juices that was like the masses. So it wouldn't be a fair recommendation if I didn't tell you some of the bad parts about Beelzebub. The bad parts is some of the gimmicks are kind of really stupid and unnecessary and feel kind of like random, like I mentioned. Some of them are good, some of them hit, some of them miss. It's just whatever. Also, sometimes the power levels don't necessarily make sense, and it feels like we're not necessarily getting I have a problem. Okay, here's the better way of placing. I have a problem with shonen's characters that fight, but they don't necessarily learn. Like they don't actually grow in their mind, and sometimes it's cool to just have someone punch harder because they say they're gonna punch harder, and sometimes it's like, okay, where did you learn from the last fight? And Oga does learn, but it's very later in the story where he starts to have a little bit more education about what he's doing. But he is no idiot. He can actually fight, and he can actually observe, and he can actually learn after he loses a couple times. This anime is definitely old. You can tell this is from the 2010s, but this anime is a secret gem that has an enjoyable ride, and you'll just enjoy it for what it is, and you'll enjoy a lot of the anime moments within it, and it feels like anime. It does. It really does feel like anime, because only anime would come up with such a gimmick and such an idea and really facilitate it around high school delinquents. That's really interesting. And then they even go to the demon world, and I'm not spoiling, but they do go, and it's a lot of really interesting parts. And I love some of the lore of talking about like the devil and his children, and a lot of names that are in like biblical writings are there and noticeable. So you're gonna at least learn something, you're gonna be interested, and there's a lot of good references within the story. And regardless, I just wanted to recommend Beelzebub to you. Have you seen it before? How do you feel about it? Do you think it's just a good anime, or do you love it more than what I'm saying? If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know, and have a great day.